a big week in the politics calendar. The SACP is holding its watershed conference. The EFF goes to its People's Assembly this weekend, while the Umkhonto weSizwe party will celebrate its one-year anniversary. All these are critical moments for these organizations. Let's chat about this further now. Professor Bheki Mngomezulu is the director for the Center for the Advancement of Non-Racialism and Democracy at the Nelson Mandela University and joins us live now. Prof, thank you so much for your time this evening. Quite a lot to get through. We start with the SACP and its watershed conference. They've been threatening for a while now, for years in fact, that they will go at it alone. Do you think this time they'll make good on that province?
No, thank you very much, Sisbong, for having me, and good evening to your viewers. I think time is ripe now for the SACP to make up its mind. You cannot be threatening the ANC on the eve of each and every election that we are going to go it alone. Come the election day, you are supporting the ANC. It doesn't make sense. If anything, it's going to weaken the already weak political party, because in terms of numbers, the SACP does not have too many people who are supporting it. Only people who have dual membership, being members of the SACP, concurrently with being members of the ANC. So I think the game they are playing is not going to assist the party. In 2017, they were saying the same thing, that they were going to go it alone. Only in Mangaung where they tried to go it alone in terms of the local government elections. Other than that, they've been threatening, but closer to the election time, they rescind their statement and then they end up working with the ANC. I don't think this time around it's going to be any different.
Is it because they're possibly trying to test their power with the electorate, or is there something else at play here?
Ideally, that will be a valid point in terms of testing the waters, as it were. But does it make political sense? My answer is an emphatic no. If you say it once or do it once, then of course we can say that we're testing the waters. But you've done it more than 2 times. People are going to say, oh, it's the SACP again. So I don't think that it augurs well for the organization, because we know that from time immemorial, the ANC and the SACP have been working together. Even when they formed Umkhonto weSizwe, they were part of the 5 parties that formed Umkhonto weSizwe, that is, and then launched it on the 6th of December 1961. So I don't think that the SACP has the numbers to go it alone. Even ministers that are currently in cabinet, they are not there on the SACP ticket, they are there on the ANC ticket. So then, and they're also part of the tripartite alliance. How do you then keep making these statements and then continue being part of the alliance? It doesn't make sense.
Let's move to the EFF. It heads to its People's Assembly at the weekend. And given its recent developments, how strong is this EFF that's going into this assembly?
Currently, the EFF is weakened. It has been weakened by the just concluded national elections on the 29th of May. Before then, the EFF has been on the upward trajectory from its formation in 2013, and then it basically participated in the first election in 2014, and it did exceptionally well, getting 25 seats in the National Assembly. And it has increased in each and every election until now, when the EFF has gone down significantly. So it goes to this People's Assembly like a wounded lion, and therefore it means that whatever decisions they make, they will have to do so without necessarily following emotions. They must just be level-headed, cool down, and then try to take stock of what has happened and do self-introspection. The only mistake that the EFF can make is to accuse others who are outside of the EFF for their own failures. Their point of departure would be to do self-introspection and ask themselves the very basic question: what have we done wrong to bring us to where we are? How do we move forward? Those are the only 2 critical questions.
Are they possible, can they possibly do this? And I ask this because of how their leader has been handling, the news of those who have been departing from the party, what he has been saying in public, and some of the statements. So can they be as level-headed as you're calling on them to be?
Sisbongiwe, anybody can be a leader, or at least anybody can claim to be a leader. But true leaders emerge in times of crisis. This is the time when the EFF has to demonstrate if it has leaders of note who are going to take this organization forward. If they are dismissive, like the ANC has been, in fact, one of the reasons why the ANC is in trouble now is because they've been dismissive when people provide constructive criticism. The same is applying now to the EFF. There are voices out there that are crying foul on the manner in which the leader of the party is leading the organization. They are in denial. They say this is not the case. The party is being run well. And the question is, if that is the case, how come that people are leaving the organization? So basically, what I have in mind is an ideal situation. Whether that will happen or not will depend on the political maturity of the leadership of the party. If they are sincere and, of course, they take rational decisions, they can do it. But from where I'm standing, as things stand at the moment, they seem to be dismissive, and that is basically like committing political suicide.
A final question then, Prof. The MK party is celebrating its one-year anniversary. This is a political party, of course, that we saw performing the way it did at the polls. But at the same time, when you look at the developments, some are saying that the internal movements when it comes to the exchanging of positions, moving people from parliament and also in some of the positions, does signal some instability within this organization. Others are saying that it's a new political party. It should be allowed to make mistakes. Your take?
Indeed, all that you have said, Sisbong, is correct. All new political parties go through this phase. The EFF is not an exception. The NFP is not an exception. There are many other political parties I can count. If you look at COPE started in 2009, and they did very well, getting 30 seats. I'm one of the people who said that this was just something that was going to be temporal, and they were going to die natural death. Indeed, history has proven me right in saying that from the 30 seats they came down to 3, then you can tell me how many seats they have now in the National Assembly. The MK party should draw lessons from those experiences. They started off well by getting the number of seats they got, 58 to be exact, which is something that is unprecedented. But the kinds of challenges the party is facing right now means that you need leaders who are sober-minded. People are going to look at factors from all around and then, of course, take informed decisions. The changes that you are referring to, as some would say, they are warranted if indeed they did everything in a haste simply because they wanted to meet the deadline to send members to parliament. And then afterwards, then they sat down and then they had to do self-introspection, and they started checking from amongst themselves if the people they sent to parliament are people they could count on. If that is the case, then they would have done well. But then if they are just changing for the sake of changing, then of course history will judge them negatively.
All right, let's see then what happens. Prof, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for talking to us. That was Professor Bheki Mngomezulu, the Director for the Center for the Advancement of Non-Racialism and Democracy at the Nelson Mandela University. On the other side of this, we're going to be speaking to SATU, and this is an organization that is very unhappy with the developments around the Bella Act. They're calling on the President to implement Section 4 and 5. Remember, they were out for public comment. So this union saying that you need to implement this or else possible legal action follows.